Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Witch's Cauldron. Remember that the Witch's Cauldron is a personal project in which I normally give recipes about staying healthy or that have to do with flavor, but also about how to heal the soul. That's part of the Witch's Cauldron. So today I'm going to give you a recipe in a way to start understanding which one of your senses is the predominant one. And this is really important in this moment because we're all at home and we are living with ourselves because normally things distract us. People distract us, society distracts us, but at this moment we are either with our loved ones and we're in this cycle that it's kind of like a loop, right? Or we're with ourselves and we also go inside a loop inside our head. So this is the perfect moment to stop being slave to our thoughts and to stop being slaves to our own addictive patterns and our own addictions, because it takes 21 days to get rid of an addiction. So right now that we're at home, let's explore who we really are. And the first suggestion that I'm going to give you is for you to understand which one of your five senses is the predominant one. So this is really, really important because our five senses are the ones that, in a way, are responsible for the triggers that can ignite certain addictive patterns. So let's understand which one is the one that predominates within us. So for that, the first thing that I'm going to do is that I'm going to look for something that wakes me up. In my case, it's ginger. Yes. So this is a root. It's wonderful. It has a wonderful citrusy flavor. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to snap a piece of ginger and I'm going to smell it. Why? Because this gets all my senses going. And the moment that we smell this aroma or this citrusy aroma, in my case it's ginger, in your case it could be lemon or orange or grapefruit or maybe something completely different like cinnamon or clove or anise, something that wakes you up. Of course, in a lot of cases it's coffee, but if it's the one that you use every day, please change it and use something else. So it's gonna wake up all our senses, and the moment we wake them up, we start to realize maybe, I am more visual, or I guide myself more through my smells, or through what I taste, or what I touch, or what I hear. Again, all of us use all of our senses most of the time, or most of us use all our senses most of the time. However, there will always be one that's dominant. How can we tell which one is our dominant sense? So, for example, again, let's use food as a vehicle. If you are attracted to something that looks beautiful, or like, again, in the case of ginger, ginger doesn't have the best look ever. It's not a very pretty root. And because you don't like the way it looks, then you're not gonna taste it. Then guess what? You probably are a visual person, a person that through their sight, through what they see, is exactly how they're going to react. That means that your main triggers are going to be visual. Maybe it's a color, maybe it's what a person is wearing, or maybe it's if they have their hair done or not. And that triggers you. That triggers a really unhealthy pattern, or also the healthy ones. So it's a little bit about both. Then, for example, the people that are very in tune with their smell of sense, of their sense of smell, sorry, with their sense of smell, then, for example, an aroma is going to remind them of someone. Maybe it's a perfume, or in my case, I wake up with ginger and it's a citrusy smell. and I love it. And because of that, I wake up, right? So my sense of smell is the one that guides me the most. And in a way, if I lose my way, I always remember the words of Gandalf the Great. You know, when you're lost, then just follow your sense of smell. And in a way, that's what I do sometimes. In the case of people that are more about the texture, for example, in the case, again, ginger is the perfect example. When you cook ginger and when you bite ginger, ginger has a crack inside your mouth and it has a very different texture. There are people that are very about the textures of things, you know, of clothing, and sometimes that can also trigger part of our senses, the texture or what we feel with our hands, right? What we feel with our hands, maybe if it's a circular form or if it's well, in the case of, again, ginger, it has a very, very unique texture. And um, I touch it and it has bumps and lumps and this and that. But for example, textures that are soft, like your own skin, or maybe making a dough that will calm you down, um, all of those things are important to actually start understanding how we start to perceive the world, because our five senses are the ones that really, really help us. Why? Because they're the first things that we were in contact with. Or for example, in the case of sound, you know, in the case, I like when things crack or snap. And I like different types of sounds because they have a different resonation inside my body. And maybe in your case, the sound of water is going to calm you down, or maybe the sound of something crackling, you know, like the bubble wraps. I remember when I was a kid, I would grab bubble wraps and start, you know, just crunching them, all of them, because it made me feel fun and it made me feel like I was cracking a bubble. And it was a lot of fun when I was a kid. So again, the moment we understand which is our dominant sense, we start to understand maybe which ones are the triggers that we have, and we can either avoid some of them or ask our partner, you know what, this really, really ignites me, this really, really gets me angry, or maybe this I really, really like, you know, like a massage. Who doesn't like a massage? Well, there are people that do not like to be touched. So, again, it has to do with understanding what triggers us with our five senses. And the moment we understand what is our predominant sense, we start to see the world in a different way. Because again, we all, well, most of us use most of our senses, and there are things that we can start to understand and understand about us. And the moment we really understand us, ourselves, what triggers us, what makes us happy, what makes us sad, we can be more able to communicate to the other person what is really going on with us. Because sometimes I didn't understand that if I get hungry, I get in a horrible mood, right? And a lot of us go through that. So the moment we're able to express our needs and we're able to express what's going on within us, maybe the other person might understand a little bit more of what's going on. Because sometimes people, they just react angry and we don't know why they are angry, when the simple answer is they're hungry or they just saw a color that ignited them. So we need to also understand the other and understand which of their senses are the ones that they are using and that are predominant in the people that we are surrounded by, because that way, first of all, we can avoid their triggers. Second of all, we can start to understand who they really are and how they perceive the world and how different they perceive the world than us. And the moment we understand that we all perceive the world in a different way, then we can actually start, communicating with each other in a healthier way. And in my case, my vehicle of today is Ginger. So find your vehicle, start understanding yourself, start understanding what is your predominant sense. And the moment you're able to verbalize that, share it with your loved ones in a healthy manner, just sit down, relax, maybe take a cup of tea and tell them, you know what, so this is what's going on and this really bothers me. So maybe we can start changing our unhealthy patterns. So again, this is just a recipe to be in confinement and start realizing who we are with and what they are like and just start with the basics. Of course, there are other things that are really important, like the type of intelligence that that person has, or the type of personality that that person has, or that we have. Again, the only thing that we can really, really, really understand at the end of the day is ourselves. And if we're able to understand ourselves, we're gonna start to be free of our own mind, free of our own patterns that can be unhealthy. So I hope this really helps you out. I hope that through understanding which one is your predominant sense, you can start understanding a little bit more about yourself. And when we understand a little bit more about ourselves, then we can actually start healing certain things that maybe they're in the past, and we can dare to eat popcorn. Maybe we were afraid of popcorn and we didn't like it because someone else really, really liked it, and that we have a bad memory of that person. But maybe when we understand that that is something that ignites us, we can start trying and pull through and stop being slaves of our past. Stop being slaves to ourselves and stop being slaves to what is surrounding us. Because once we understand where a certain feeling is actually coming from, we are able to say, I choose not to be afraid of you anymore, and I choose to have something different and a different life. So thank you for watching.